Hi friends, this is Yoga with Marycarmen, and in this video I want to show you the basic pose of seated position, or the easy pose, or the pose of ease. It's got all these names, but just because it's an easy pose and one of the most basic poses of yoga doesn't mean that we cannot study it and make it better for our own bodies and get all the benefits out of it. And that's what I want to show you today. What is the correct way to sit in asana? So let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is sit down on our yoga mat. But before we actually get into the pose, I wanted to make sure you have a few things available to you. This is going to help you improve your posture as you are practicing this easy pose. A couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use pillows, a couple of those. I'm sure that you've been at home, you can have these available to you. And a Mexican blanket. That's what this is called. So the yoga blocks are going to help us here. So let's begin the pose and have these available. Because a lot of people, when they come into this pose, this is what they look like. Their knees are really high because their hips are very tight. And that's where the blocks come in to help. You can place the blocks right underneath the hips and just let the knees rest on them. And just because you're using blocks or props in general doesn't mean that you don't have the strength to go into the pose. It actually means that you're using the props to help you get the strength so that in the future you can get into the pose without them. So never be afraid of using your props. They're there for a reason. With time, if you're one of these people that their knees are very high, you can place the blocks to where they can drop a little bit lower, and eventually you can remove them. And remember, if you don't have blocks, you can use pillows instead. So I like to use my blanket to sit on my yoga mat to begin my practice, and this way I can prop my hips higher than my knees. So this is getting a little bit deeper into this pose now. So the hips are higher than my knees. And another modification of this pose is where we start getting our legs a little higher as well. And the knee starts dropping in even more. So this is where I want you to pay very close attention to your ankles. So when we start getting into this lotus position, another variation of the seated pose, your ankle needs to be resting on your thigh. That way you're not letting it hang in the air, so sort of like this. That can really hurt with time. So you want to make sure that it's always resting. And the idea is to bring the ankle into the opposite hip flexor. That's where you want it to rest. Another trick here is to move your thighs upward. So the muscle, internal rotation of the muscle is moving upward. It's almost like you're literally grabbing your leg and turning it towards the sky so that you can create more space there, and that way the knee can come even lower to the floor. Okay, so you can just place the other leg underneath it, or if you're really, really flexible, like some people, you can place that other leg onto that other hip flexor. This is very difficult for me to do. So I can stay here for a few seconds. Remember, we talk about making sure that ankle is protected, but look at my knees, very, very high. So I can be here for just a few seconds and then I need to get out. So this is because this side is super flexible and this one isn't. So whatever side works for you, I encourage you to practice on both sides equally and just try to tell your body, hey, let's just get a little bit more flexibility on this other side. I know this is my really good side, but let's give the same amount of love to the other one. Okay, so just get into the position that best works for your body. Challenge yourself. Try different things. See how that feels. Always protect your ankles. And then we can get started with the next part of this pose, which is your spine. The spine is part of this pose. Your shoulders are part of this pose as well. So once you feel comfortable, your knees are lower, your hips are stable, then let's begin by lifting the heart and allowing the spine to grow tall. Relax the shoulders. Let the hands rest on your thighs, palms up or palms down, depending on what you're doing. And then you can just take a moment here and close the eyes and breathe. Again, in your head, how is your body feeling? Is your spine growing taller? Are your shoulders moving back and down? We tend to hold a lot of tension here as we're driving and we're on the computers. We're always doing this. Shoulders move forward and the neck moves forward. And so our pose, I'm going to go sideways so you can see. This is how we end up looking. And when we sit down, even for yoga, this is where we are most of the time. So it is our intention to go into a place where we can be more aligned. So the neck goes back, the spine is tall, the lower spine is protected by engaging the cores of the core, the muscles of the core, and your shoulders are back and relaxed. Chin up, heart open. This is how you should look like from the profile. And then let's just breathe. Let's just stay here for a moment and notice where we are. Inhaling and exhaling. The pose of ease is to become aware of where you are when you're closer to the floor. Is your foundation strong? Does it need a little bit more stability? That's why we always begin yoga on the floor. So from here, you can move into your practice. But for now, this is the end of this video to explain this seated position pose.